Chosen ones. Something powerful has shifted behind the scenes. The people who hurt you, betrayed you, underestimated you, or tried to block your purpose are finally facing the consequences of their own actions. Karma has arrived, not because you wished harm on anyone, but because divine justice always moves in perfect timing. You may have felt isolated, misunderstood, emotionally exhausted, or attacked spiritually, but none of your pain was wasted. God was protecting you, strengthening you, and preparing you for a higher level of purpose. What looked like rejection was redirection. What felt like delay was divine timing. What broke your heart helped awaken your spirit. This message is your confirmation that you were never ordinary. The lesson has been learned, the cycle is ending, and your energy is no longer available to people who refuse to value you. Listen carefully until the end, because the final revelation may explain why everything had to happen this way. Type 777 if you trust God's timing. Comment Amen if you feel this confirmation. Like this video if you believe divine justice is working in your favor. Subscribe to Royal Spirit for powerful messages about spiritual awakening, divine protection, purpose, faith, healing, karma, and the journey of the chosen ones. This video is created for spiritual encouragement, personal reflection, and motivation. Take what resonates with your spirit. One-line channel description. Royal Spirit delivers powerful spiritual awakening messages for chosen ones, walking through divine protection, healing, purpose, and transformation. Hashtags, #chosen ones, #karma, #divine justice, #spiritual awakening, #God's timing, #divine protection, #chosen one, #karma is real, #spiritual journey, #destiny, #faith in God, #energy shift, #soul awakening, #healing journey, #royal spirit, keywords chosen ones, karma hit hard, they finally learned their lesson. Divine justice, God is protecting you. Spiritual awakening message, chosen one message today. Signs you are chosen. Karma is coming. Karma is real. People who hurt you will regret it. Divine timing, spiritual protection, spiritual attacks, emotional healing, destiny awakening, God's plan, chosen ones. 2026, powerful spiritual message. Why people leave you. Isolation before breakthrough. Energy shift. Signs of awakening. Faith in God. Purpose and destiny, manifestation, spiritual growth, narcissist karma, toxic people karma, betrayal recovery, healing after betrayal, Royal Spirit, video chapters 00:00. They finally learned their lesson. 118. Karma has arrived at the perfect time. 342. Why you had to walk away. 605. The hidden truth behind your isolation. 831. You were protected from something dangerous. 1104. Their actions created their own consequences. 1336. Your pain transformed into spiritual strength. 1602. The awakening they never expected. 1827. God is moving you toward your purpose. 2014. Your confirmation and next. Divine chapter. Copy. Regenerate like dislike. Read aloud. Now my video script. 28 minutes. Your 30 minutes. 0203. Done chosen. 1. Stop scrolling for a moment, because this message is reaching you at the exact moment something has changed in the unseen parts of your life. The people who laughed at your pain, dismissed your heart, betrayed your trust, or treated your kindness like weakness are beginning to understand what they lost. They are finally meeting the consequences of the energy they released. And what makes this moment so powerful is that you did not have to chase them. You did not have to expose them. You did not have to prove your worth. Life itself has started revealing the truth. Listen carefully. This is not random. You are hearing this because a cycle is closing around you. Something that drained you is losing its access to you. Something that confused you is becoming clear. Something that once made you question your value is now showing you exactly why God allowed you to walk away. You may not see every detail yet, but deep inside you already feel the shift. You feel calmer. You feel less desperate for answers. You feel less interested in explaining yourself to people who already decided to misunderstand you. That change inside you is important. It means your spirit is no longer trapped in the same emotional place. The version of you who begged to be understood is becoming the version of you who understands yourself. The version of you who kept returning to the same door is finally realizing that the door was never meant to lead you home. It was only there to teach you what you should never accept again. You were never ordinary. You were sensitive in a world that often rewards coldness. You cared deeply when others were pretending. You noticed the change in someone's voice. You felt the distance before anyone admitted it. You sensed when a smile was hiding jealousy. You felt when a friendship had become one-sided. You felt when someone was celebrating your presence but secretly resented your growth. People may have called you emotional. They may have said you think too much. They may have told you that you are too intense, too quiet, too spiritual, too different. But the truth is that your sensitivity helped you recognize what others tried to hide. Your heart picked up on things your eyes could not prove. And because you could feel the truth before you had evidence, you often blamed yourself for knowing. There were moments when you asked yourself, why do I feel uncomfortable around this person? You could not explain it, so you ignored it. You felt tired after certain conversations. You felt heavy after spending time with certain people. You felt your energy disappear whenever you tried to fit into places where your spirit did not belong. That was not weakness. That was your inner warning system. God was showing you what your mind was not ready to accept. You may have noticed that the people who hurt you seemed to move on quickly while you were left carrying the pain. They smiled in public. They posted as if nothing happened. They acted successful. They found new people to entertain them. They made you look like the problem while they played the victim. And for a while you wondered whether they had truly escaped the consequences of what they did. But consequences do not always arrive loudly. Sometimes karma enters a person's life as emptiness. Sometimes it appears as a room full of people and no real connection. Sometimes it looks like constant distraction, fake happiness, broken trust, sleepless nights, and the quiet fear that everyone around them is only pretending. A person can appear to have everything and still live inside the results of their own choices. The lesson is not always visible from the outside. You may never witness every consequence. You may never receive the apology you deserved. You may never hear them admit that they were wrong. But that does not mean the truth disappeared. It means your healing cannot depend on watching them suffer. Their lesson is between them and God. Your lesson is between you and your future. And this is where the power of your story begins to change. You are no longer waiting for life to punish them so that you can feel worthy. You are becoming free because you finally understand that your value was never determined by how they treated you. Their betrayal did not make you less valuable. Their rejection did not make you less lovable. Their inability to recognize your heart did not make your heart ordinary. It only revealed their capacity. Some people can only love you when you are useful to them. Some people can only support you when you are beneath them. Some people celebrate your dreams until your confidence becomes stronger than their influence. They want your light near them, but they do not want it shining brightly enough to expose their darkness. They want your loyalty, but they do not want to give you honesty. They want your forgiveness, but they do not want to change. That is why your growth made them uncomfortable. Your silence became a mirror. Your distance became a message. Your healing became proof that they did not destroy you. They expected you to stay stuck in the role they gave you. They expected you to remain available, apologetic, confused, and emotionally dependent on their approval. But you began to wake up. And when a chosen one wakes up, the entire relationship changes. You stop answering every message. You stop defending every decision. You stop explaining why you need peace. You stop trying to convince people that your heart is real. You stop asking someone to treat you with the respect they should have offered naturally. Your energy becomes more protected. Your time becomes more precious. Your presence becomes less available to chaos. That is when they begin to feel your absence, not because you are trying to manipulate them, not because you are playing games, but because they had become comfortable with the version of you who always gave another chance. They became comfortable with the version of you who stayed after being disrespected. They became comfortable with the version of you who carried the emotional weight of the entire connection. Now that you have stepped back, they have to feel the silence they created. Type yes if this speaks to your spirit. Let the words become a declaration that you are no longer returning to the places that required you to abandon yourself. Chosen one, there was a season when you thought losing people meant losing your future. You believed certain connections were connected to your destiny. You thought you needed their support, their approval, or their presence in order to move forward. You may have been afraid that walking away would leave you alone forever. But God was not removing your future. God was removing the obstacles standing in front of it. Some people were not your companions. They were your lessons wearing familiar faces. Some connections were not meant to last. They were meant to reveal your patterns. They showed you where you overgave. They showed you where you ignored your instincts. They showed you what happens when you confuse history with loyalty. You stayed because you remembered who they used to be. You stayed because you kept hoping they would return to the person you first met. You stayed because you saw their wounds and believed your love could heal them. But a person cannot be loved into maturity if they are committed to avoiding responsibility. You cannot carry someone into a future they keep rejecting. You cannot force someone to value what they only appreciate after losing it. You cannot keep shrinking yourself so that another person does not feel threatened by your growth. And you cannot continue calling it patience when it has become self-betrayal. This is why the separation hurts so much. You were not only losing a person, you were losing the future you imagined with them. You were grieving conversations that never happened, apologies that never came, promises that were never kept. You were grieving the version of the relationship that existed in your hope, even if it never existed in reality. That kind of grief is deep. It can make you question your judgment. It can make you wonder if you imagined the connection. It can make you feel foolish for caring so much. But you were not foolish. You were sincere. You gave from a real place. You believed people because you wanted to believe the best in them. Your mistake was not having a good heart. Your lesson was learning that a good heart still needs boundaries. God has been preparing you to understand the difference between compassion and self-abandonment, between forgiveness and permission, between peace and avoidance, between being humble and making yourself small. You can forgive someone and still close the door. You can wish them healing and still refuse to return. You can understand their pain and still hold them accountable for the pain they caused. That is spiritual maturity. Many people think being chosen means life becomes easy. They imagine that being spiritually guided means you will never experience betrayal, loneliness, delays, or heartbreak. But being chosen does not mean you will avoid every difficult season. It means you will be guided through the season without losing the deepest part of yourself. You may bend, but you will not break in the way they expected. You may cry, but your tears will water something inside you. You may feel lost, but your confusion will eventually lead you away from what was never meant to hold you. You may be rejected, but rejection will redirect you toward people who do not require you to perform for love. Even in your hardest moments, protection was working around you. There were opportunities you thought you missed that were actually doors God closed for your safety. There were relationships you thought you lost that would have cost you your peace. There were plans that fell apart because they were built with people who could not honor the future you were entering. You called it bad luck. God called it protection. You called it delay. God called it preparation. You called it loneliness. God called it separation. The isolation was painful because you were used to carrying the energy of everyone around you. When the noise disappeared, you had to hear your own thoughts. When the crowd moved away, you had to meet yourself without distraction. When certain people stopped calling, you had to discover whether you could still feel whole without their attention. and slowly, you did. At first, the quiet felt like punishment. Then it became a place where you could breathe. You began to hear your own desires again. You remembered what you wanted before everyone else started telling you who to be. You began to recognize how often you had betrayed your own needs just to keep another person comfortable. That realization can be painful, but it is also the beginning of freedom. Your solitude was not proof that you were unwanted. It was proof that you were being separated from what could not accompany you into your next level. Not everyone can go where your spirit is going. Some people only knew how to relate to your struggle. They do not know how to relate to your strength. When you begin to heal, certain people lose access to you because the old version of you no longer exists. They may try to bring up old memories. They may remind you of the good times. They may contact you when they feel lonely. They may say they miss you, and perhaps they do miss you. But missing your presence is not the same as respecting your heart. Sometimes people miss the benefits they received from you. They miss your attention. They miss your patience. They miss the way you made them feel important. They miss having someone who listened without judging them. They miss your energy, but they do not necessarily miss the responsibility of becoming better for you. That is why you must pay attention to patterns, not promises. A promise can sound beautiful. A pattern tells the truth. If someone only changes when you leave, ask how long the change will last. If someone only values you when another person rejects them, ask whether you are being chosen or used as comfort. If someone only apologizes when they fear losing access, ask whether the apology is about your pain or their inconvenience. You do not have to answer every message. You do not have to reopen every door. You do not have to prove that you are forgiving by returning to the same environment that broke you. Your peace is allowed to be permanent. There is a reason you are hearing this today. Something in you is ready to stop waiting for closure from people who benefited from your confusion. You are ready to close the chapter without receiving every explanation. You are ready to believe what their actions already told you. You are ready to stop asking whether you were enough for someone who never learned how to be enough for themselves. And the moment you stop asking that question, your life begins to move again. You will notice small changes first. You will wake up with less heaviness in your chest. You will think about them less often. You will stop checking whether they viewed your story. You will stop imagining what they are saying about you. You will stop rehearsing conversations in your mind. You will stop needing them to regret what they did. That is when karma becomes irrelevant to your identity. Because the greatest consequence is not always that they lose you. The greatest consequence is that you become someone they can never access again. You become peaceful without their approval. You become successful without their support. You become emotionally unavailable to the games that once controlled you. They may watch from a distance. They may ask about you through other people. They may pretend not to care while secretly noticing every change. They may see your confidence returning. They may see your face becoming lighter. They may see you building the life you once talked about while they were busy convincing you that your dreams were unrealistic. They will realize that your potential was never created by their encouragement. You carried it before they arrived. You held it while they doubted you. You protected it while they mocked you, and now it is beginning to rise. Type 777 if you trust God's timing. Your delay did not cancel your destiny. The closed doors did not destroy your purpose. What left your life created space for what can actually honor you. Chosen one, you have survived spiritual attacks that looked like ordinary problems. You thought you were simply tired, but you were exhausted from carrying energy that did not belong to you. You thought you were overthinking, but your spirit was reacting to inconsistency. You thought you were losing motivation, but you were drained from constantly trying to prove yourself in an environment that was never designed to support you. Sometimes the attack is not a dramatic event. Sometimes it is a constant stream of doubt. A person repeatedly questioning your ability. A family member making you feel guilty for wanting more. A friend turning your dreams into jokes. A partner making you feel difficult for asking for honesty. A workplace that rewards your effort but ignores your value. Little by little, these experiences can make you distrust yourself. But the fact that you are still here means the attack did not win. You are still capable of love. You are still capable of hope. You are still able to imagine a better life. You still feel a pull toward purpose, even after disappointment tried to convince you that nothing matters. That pull is not weakness. It is evidence that something inside you refused to die. There is a part of you that knows your life is bigger than the pain you experienced. There is a part of you that knows you did not come here only to survive betrayal. You came here to transform it. You came here to turn your wounds into wisdom. You came here to become the person you needed when nobody understood what you were carrying. That is why your story will help other people one day. Not because you have never suffered, but because you learned how to walk through suffering without letting it turn your heart into stone. You are learning how to be powerful without becoming cruel. You are learning how to set boundaries without losing compassion. You are learning how to protect your peace without needing to punish anyone. The people who hurt you may never understand the strength it took for you to remain kind. They may think your silence means you are weak. They may think your distance means you are bitter. They may tell others that you changed. You did change. But you changed because pain forced you to become honest with yourself. You changed because you finally saw how much energy you were spending on people who were comfortable giving you the bare minimum. You changed because your spirit became tired of negotiating for basic respect. You changed because something in you finally said, I cannot keep abandoning myself to keep this connection alive. That sentence became the beginning of your awakening. Awakening is not always peaceful at first. It can feel like losing your identity. The beliefs you held about people begin to collapse. The stories you told yourself begin to fall apart. You realize that some apologies were never coming. You realize that some people only loved the version of you they could control. You realize that some of your strongest attachments were built on fear. Fear of being alone, fear of starting over, fear of disappointing others, fear that nobody better would come, fear that leaving meant failure. But your spirit knew the truth. Staying in a place that destroys you is not success. Keeping a relationship alive by yourself is not loyalty. Being needed by someone who does not respect you is not love. You were not meant to be someone's emotional emergency room. You were meant to be whole. And as you become whole, the people who depended on your brokenness begin to experience the consequences of your healing. They may call it arrogance. They may say you think you are better than them. They may say you became distant. But peace always looks like arrogance to people who benefited from your insecurity. Your boundaries will offend those who enjoyed your lack of boundaries. Your growth will irritate those who were comfortable with your old limits. Your confidence will look like pride to people who preferred you uncertain. Do not shrink to make their emotions easier. God did not bring you this far so that you could return to the same cycle because someone else felt uncomfortable with your progress. You are allowed to become unfamiliar to people who only knew how to use your old wounds. You are allowed to outgrow roles that were assigned to you before you knew your own name. This is your confirmation. The ending was necessary. The distance was necessary. The silence was necessary. The unanswered questions were necessary because they forced you to stop looking outward for permission to trust what you already felt inside. Nothing about your life has been accidental. The people who came into your life taught you something. Some taught you patience. Some taught you discernment. Some taught you what love should never feel like. Some revealed your strength by giving you no choice but to find it. Some left so that you could finally hear the calling that had been buried beneath their demands. Even the betrayal carried information. It showed you who they were when they thought you would never leave. It showed you how they handled your vulnerability. It showed you whether they could celebrate you without comparing themselves to you. It showed you whether their loyalty existed only when the relationship benefited them. You do not need to hate them for what they revealed. You only need to believe the revelation. And now, while they are facing the results of their choices, you are entering a season where your own choices will begin to return to you. The effort you made in silence will have a visible result. The prayers you whispered will begin to connect with opportunities. The skills you developed while nobody was watching will become useful. The patience that once felt like a burden will become wisdom. You are not starting from nothing. You are starting from experience. You are starting from discernment. You are starting from a stronger understanding of who you are and what you will no longer tolerate. That is why the next chapter will feel different. You will not be attracted to the same chaos. You will not confuse emotional intensity with connection. You will not call anxiety chemistry. You will not call inconsistency mystery. You will not call someone's occasional attention love. Your standards are changing because your self-respect is returning. Some people will disappear when they realize they cannot access the old version of you. Let them go. Their departure is not evidence that you failed. It is evidence that the relationship was built around access, not genuine care. The right people will not demand that you become smaller to keep them comfortable. They will not punish you for having needs. They will not make you feel guilty for resting. They will not compete with your happiness. They will not need you to suffer before they believe you deserve support. You will recognize them because your nervous system will not feel like it is constantly preparing for disappointment. The connection will feel steady. The communication will feel clear. The relationship will not require you to decode every silence. You will not need to become a detective to understand where you stand. You will not be forced to accept confusion as a personality trait. God is teaching you to recognize peace because you have spent too long mistaking struggle for love. There may still be days when you miss the past. That does not mean you made the wrong decision. Healing is not a straight line. You can know a door was wrong for you and still miss what you hoped would be behind it. You can love someone and still choose distance. You can remember beautiful moments and still accept that the relationship was harmful. Do not judge yourself for having mixed emotions. Your heart is not a machine. It needs time to release what your mind has already understood. There will be moments when memories return suddenly. A song, a place, a familiar name, a date on the calendar. You may feel the old ache for a few seconds. When that happens, do not panic. It does not mean you are going backward. It means your body is processing the past at a deeper level. The pain is leaving in layers. You may have already released the person, but now you are releasing the version of yourself that existed around them. You are releasing the need to be chosen by them. You are releasing the hope that they will finally become who you needed them to be. You are releasing the fantasy of receiving an apology that would somehow make every painful day disappear. And when that final layer leaves, you will feel something you have not felt in a long time. You will feel light. The person who once had the power to ruin your entire day will become a memory, not a wound. Not a question, not a source of emotional control, just a memory that taught you to choose yourself sooner. That is a kind of victory no one can take from you. Their lesson may be that manipulation has a cost. Their lesson may be that people do not stay forever when they are repeatedly disrespected. Their lesson may be that losing a loyal person is not a small thing. Their lesson may be that attention from many people cannot replace the sincerity of one person they treated carelessly. But your lesson is even greater. You learned that you can survive what you once believed would destroy you. You learned that your intuition deserves respect. You learned that love without accountability becomes a trap. You learned that the right path may be lonely before it becomes peaceful. You learned that God can remove people you were too afraid to release. And now you are being prepared for a life that does not require constant recovery. This does not mean you will never face challenges again. It means you will face them with a different inner foundation. You are no longer the same person who entered that painful season. You know what manipulation feels like. You know what emotional inconsistency feels like. You know how your body reacts when something is wrong. You have learned to listen before the damage becomes undeniable. That wisdom will protect you. There is also a financial and purpose shift coming into your awareness. You may begin to feel drawn toward work that has more meaning. You may lose interest in environments where you are underpaid, overlooked, or constantly drained. You may feel a desire to create something of your own. You may begin thinking about a business, a new skill, a move, a project, or a path you once considered impossible. Do not dismiss those thoughts. The seed of your next chapter may arrive as a quiet idea before it becomes a clear opportunity. It may not look dramatic in the beginning. It may feel small. It may require you to learn, practice, save, or begin again. But do not underestimate small beginnings. You are not being asked to see the entire road. You are being asked to take the next honest step. God has been preparing you through every season of delay. The discipline you learned while waiting will help you handle what arrives. The wisdom you gained through betrayal will help you choose better partnerships. The patience you built in isolation will help you avoid rushing into another situation just because you feel lonely. You are not being denied. You are being refined. The reason some things took so long is because you were becoming the person who could hold them without losing yourself. A blessing in the hands of an unprepared person can become another source of pain. That is why your character had to grow alongside your desire. You wanted the relationship, but God was teaching you self-respect. You wanted the platform, but God was teaching you discipline. You wanted the money, but God was teaching you responsibility. You wanted recognition, but God was teaching you how to keep going when nobody clapped. The preparation was not punishment. It was protection from receiving something before you were ready to keep it. Type 11 to affirm this message and to declare that your next chapter will not be built on the approval of people who refuse to see your value. Chosen one, the people who underestimated you may be shocked by how quickly your energy changes once you stop giving it away. They may have believed your strength belonged to them. They may have assumed your kindness would always be available. They may have mistaken your patience for permission. Now they are learning that access to you is earned. You do not need to announce your transformation. You do not need to post a statement. You do not need to show anyone that you are doing better. The most powerful proof will be the life you build when nobody is watching. Let them wonder. Let them create stories. Let them believe whatever helps them sleep. You are not responsible for correcting every false version of you. People who want to misunderstand you will find a way, even if you explain yourself perfectly. Your energy is too valuable to spend chasing every rumor created by people who cannot face their own behavior. Sometimes God hides you because your next level needs privacy. You have shared too much with people who turned your vulnerability into information. You have told your plans to people who prayed for your failure. You have shown your dreams to people who responded with doubt because your growth reminded them of what they had abandoned in themselves. Now you are learning to move quietly. Silence is not fear. Silence can be strategy. Silence gives your plans room to grow. Silence protects your focus from people who want to inspect your progress before you have built enough strength to defend it. You do not have to explain the seed while it is underground. Let it grow. Let your faith deepen in private. Let your discipline become invisible. Let your healing happen without an audience. One day, the results will speak in a language that even your doubters understand. But by then, you may no longer care whether they understand. That is the part they never expected. They thought your goal was to prove them wrong. They thought you were working so that they would regret leaving. They thought your success would be an indirect message to them. At first, maybe it was. But as you heal, your motivation changes. You begin building because you love your life, not because you want someone else to feel bad about losing access to it. You begin choosing peace because you finally understand what chaos costs. You begin pursuing purpose because your soul is tired of living according to other people's expectations. Your success becomes personal. Your happiness becomes sacred. Your peace becomes non-negotiable. And that is when no one can control you through rejection anymore. They can leave, they can gossip, they can withhold attention, they can change their mind, they can refuse to give you the apology you deserve. But they cannot take your identity because you have stopped giving it to them. This is the hidden revelation. Karma did not only come for them. Karma also returned your power to you. Every tear you cried in private became a lesson. Every night you spent questioning yourself became a reason to trust your own voice. Every time you chose not to respond in anger, you broke a cycle. Every time you walked away, instead of begging, you restored something sacred inside you. You are not waiting for justice anymore. You are becoming the justice for your own life. You are deciding that the pattern ends with you. Your family's emotional neglect does not have to become your relationships. The betrayal you experienced does not have to turn you into someone who betrays others. The rejection you endured does not have to make you reject yourself. You can be the person who breaks the chain. You can be the first person in your family to choose peace over performance. You can be the first to stop explaining your boundaries. You can be the first to build a life that is not based on survival. You can be the first to say, "I love you, but I will not keep allowing this." That kind of courage changes more than your own future. It changes what becomes possible for everyone who comes after you. The pain you survived is not your entire identity, but it is part of the wisdom you carry. One day, someone will tell you they are going through the same kind of betrayal, isolation, or confusion, and you will know exactly how to speak to them. You will not give them empty advice. You will understand the nights when they could not sleep. You will understand the urge to return. You will understand the shame of missing someone who hurt them, and your story will remind them that healing is real. Not because you had an easy path, because you kept walking. You kept walking when nobody applauded. You kept walking when the people who caused the pain seemed to be thriving. You kept walking when your faith felt weak. You kept walking when you had no proof that things would improve. That is resilience. Faith is not always a loud feeling. Sometimes faith is simply getting out of bed while your heart feels heavy. Sometimes faith is refusing to become cruel after being treated cruelly. Sometimes faith is trusting that the closed door has a reason, even when you cannot see it yet. God has seen every moment you thought nobody noticed. The tears you hid from your family, the strength you showed at work, the messages you typed and deleted, the times you wanted to give up but kept moving, the prayers you could only whisper. None of it was wasted. You may have thought your life was standing still, but important work was happening beneath the surface. Your character was being strengthened. Your discernment was being sharpened. Your attachments were being exposed. Your spirit was learning to separate what feels familiar from what is truly safe. That work takes time. Do not compare your timeline to someone who did not have to heal from what you healed from. Do not judge your progress by another person's public appearance. You do not know what their life feels like behind the image. You do not know what they are carrying in silence. And you do not need to know. Your assignment is your own becoming. The more you focus on your path, the less power their story has over your mind. You will realize that you were spending too much time studying people who were not studying themselves. You were trying to understand their choices while ignoring your own needs. You were asking why they hurt you instead of asking why you kept offering access after the first warning. Now you know, and knowing changes everything. The next time someone shows you that they cannot handle your honesty, you will not keep explaining. The next time someone makes you compete for basic attention, you will not compete. The next time someone makes you feel like a burden for having emotions, you will not beg them to care. You will leave sooner, not because you are heartless, because you are finally listening to your heart. There may be one final test before this cycle fully closes. Someone from the past may return. A message may arrive when you least expect it. An old connection may suddenly become warm again. They may say they have changed. They may tell you they have been thinking about you. They may apologize just enough to awaken your hope. If that happens, remember what you learned. Do not judge the return by the emotion it creates. Judge it by the evidence that follows. Do not confuse familiar words with new behavior. Do not let nostalgia make decisions that your healed mind would question. A return is not always restoration. Sometimes it is a test to see whether you still want what you once begged God to remove. You are allowed to say no without anger. You are allowed to protect your peace without explaining every detail. You are allowed to forgive from a distance. You are allowed to choose the future, even when the past comes knocking with tears in its eyes. The old door may look different because you are standing in a different place, but that does not mean the room has changed. Ask yourself whether the connection brings peace or reactivates confusion. Ask whether the person respects your boundaries or only wants access to your emotions. Ask whether they have taken responsibility without making excuses. Ask whether you are being invited into something healthy or pulled back into something familiar. Your spirit will know. You may feel the answer in the tightness of your body. You may feel it in the way your energy changes after speaking to them. You may feel peace when you imagine moving forward and anxiety when you imagine returning. Pay attention. God often guides you through what your spirit can finally feel clearly. The people who have learned their lesson may regret how they treated you, but their regret does not have to become your responsibility. You do not have to comfort someone through the consequences of their choices. You do not have to make their guilt easier to carry. You can care about their humanity without giving them another opportunity to damage your peace. This is not revenge. This is alignment. You are aligning with the person you were always meant to become. A person who can love deeply without losing themselves. A person who can give generously without living empty. A person who can believe in others without ignoring reality. A person who can walk away without needing to be hated. That person is already emerging. You can feel it in your decisions. You can feel it in your standards. You can feel it in the way you no longer panic when someone pulls away. You are beginning to understand that not every departure is a disaster. Some departures are announcements from heaven. They are saying, "This is no longer yours." And what belongs to you will not require you to destroy yourself to keep it. The right opportunity will not demand that you betray your values. The right relationship will not ask you to ignore your instincts. The right friendship will not punish you for being honest. The right environment will not require you to pretend that you are smaller than you are. What is truly aligned with you may challenge you, but it will not constantly confuse you. There is a difference between growth and emotional chaos. Growth stretches you while giving you direction. Chaos drains you while keeping you uncertain. Growth makes you more honest. Chaos makes you question your own reality. Choose what makes you more like yourself. You have spent enough time trying to be acceptable to people who were committed to finding fault with you. You have spent enough time carrying shame for needs that were completely normal. You have spent enough time apologizing for wanting consistency. You are not too much for the right people. You are not too emotional for the right people. You are not too ambitious for the right people. You are not too spiritual, too sensitive, too quiet, or too deep. You were simply asking the wrong people to recognize the right parts of you. And that chapter is closing now. Like this video if you feel this confirmation. Let your actions say that you are ready to release the need to be understood by everyone and ready to be guided toward what truly understands your spirit. Chosen one, there is a new kind of confidence waiting for you. It is not loud. It does not need to prove anything. It does not enter every room demanding attention. It knows who it is even when no one is watching. You are becoming quietly powerful. You are becoming less reactive, less available to drama, less impressed by words, more aware of how people make you feel, more willing to wait, more willing to walk away, more willing to trust that what is meant for you will not be destroyed by your boundaries. That confidence is a sign of healing. You are no longer trying to win every argument because you understand that some people are not seeking truth. They are seeking control. You are no longer trying to get closure from people who use confusion to keep you emotionally attached. You are no longer trying to prove that you were loyal to people who already benefited from your loyalty. Your life is not a courtroom. You do not have to present evidence to people who made up their minds. Let God handle the verdict. You keep building. You keep praying. You keep becoming. And one day, you will look back and understand why certain people had to be removed before your breakthrough could arrive. Their presence occupied space. Their demands consumed time. Their opinions influenced your decisions. Their insecurity made you question your confidence. When they left, your life did not become empty. It became available. Available for peace. Available for purpose. Available for genuine connection. Available for the kind of success that does not require you to hide your light. You may not know exactly what is coming, but you can feel that something is approaching. The air around your life feels different. You may be seeing repeated numbers. You may be having stronger dreams. You may be remembering old goals. You may be feeling the need to clean your space, organize your life, remove old messages, or release objects connected to the past. These small urges can be signs that your inner world is preparing for a new season. Do not ignore the desire to simplify. Do not ignore the feeling that certain habits no longer match the person you are becoming. Do not ignore the sudden understanding that you have been giving energy to things that do not deserve it. Your environment is about to match your internal transformation. The old clutter must leave. The old excuses must leave. The old identity must leave. You cannot carry every old version of yourself into a new future. Some identities were created to help you survive, but they are not meant to control your entire life. The people pleaser helped you avoid conflict, but now you need honesty. The overthinker helped you search for danger, but now you need trust. The rescuer helped you feel needed, but now you need mutual love. Thank those versions of yourself, then let them rest. You are safe enough to stop performing. You are safe enough to pause. You are safe enough to receive. That last part may be difficult for you because you are used to giving. You know how to support everyone else, but receiving support can make you uncomfortable. You know how to encourage others, but receiving encouragement can make you suspicious. You know how to forgive, but allowing someone to care for you may feel unfamiliar. Let yourself receive what is honest. You do not have to earn every good thing through exhaustion. You do not have to suffer before you deserve happiness. You do not have to prove your loyalty by accepting pain. The next season will teach you that blessings can arrive without chaos. Love can arrive without confusion. Success can arrive without betrayal. Friendship can arrive without competition. You can be chosen without begging. And when that happens, part of you may feel afraid because peace will be unfamiliar. You may search for the hidden problem. You may expect the person to change suddenly. You may wonder whether you are being tricked. Take your time. Healing does not mean you trust everyone immediately. It means you trust yourself to respond wisely. You can allow good things into your life slowly. You can observe. You can ask questions. You can maintain your boundaries while love grows. There is no need to rush toward what is healthy. Healthy things can handle time. Only manipulation demands urgency. Remember that. The people who hurt you wanted access without accountability. The people meant for you will understand that trust must be built. They will not mock your caution. They will not pressure you to forget your past. They will help you feel safe through consistent action. That is part of your reward. Not simply receiving more people, but receiving better energy. You are moving from quantity to quality, from attention to connection, from popularity to peace, from being surrounded to being understood. The change may make your circle smaller, but your life will feel richer. And as your circle changes, so will your relationship with yourself. You will begin speaking to yourself with the patience you once gave everyone else. You will stop calling yourself foolish for not seeing the truth sooner. You will stop punishing yourself for loving people who were not ready to love you properly. You did the best you could with the awareness you had at the time. Now you know more. Now you can choose differently. That is growth. Do not turn your past into a weapon against your present. Let it become information. Let it make you wiser without making you afraid of every person who approaches you. Discernment is not the same as suspicion. You can protect yourself without closing your heart completely. Your heart is still a gift. Just give it to people who know how to hold it. There is someone watching this who has been asking God for a sign. You wanted to know whether you should keep waiting, whether you should move on, whether the door is truly closed. This is the reminder you needed. You do not have to chase what keeps running from you. You do not have to revive what only survives through your effort. You do not have to keep knocking on a door that God has already closed. Your future is not behind you. Your future is ahead. What you lost may have been painful, but it was not the end of your story. In some cases, it was the moment your real story finally began. The betrayal became the beginning of your boundaries. The loneliness became the beginning of your purpose. The rejection became the beginning of your confidence. You thought you were being pushed away. You were being pushed forward. You thought they were taking your place. They were making room. You thought the ending meant you failed. It meant you were released. And now the energy is returning to you. Your focus is returning. Your creativity is returning. Your confidence is returning. Your desire to live is returning. You are beginning to imagine mornings that do not start with anxiety. You are beginning to picture relationships that do not make you question your worth. You are beginning to see a version of yourself that is not constantly trying to recover. Hold on to that vision. It is not unrealistic. It is a preview. The fact that you can imagine peace means your spirit knows peace exists. The fact that you can imagine a better life means something in you believes you are allowed to have it. The fact that you still desire love after betrayal means the people who hurt you did not destroy your capacity to hope. Your light survived, and now it is becoming stronger because you know how to protect it. Before this message ends, take a deep breath. Let your shoulders relax. Let the tension leave your face. You have been carrying more than people realize. You have been strong for too long without giving yourself permission to be tired. You do not have to carry the entire future tonight. You only need to remember that you are not forgotten. God has not ignored your prayers. Your timing has not been ruined. Your purpose has not been cancelled. The people who tried to block you did not have the authority to erase what was meant for you. They may have delayed your confidence, but they could not destroy your destiny. They may have wounded your heart, but they could not take your soul. They may have caused you to question your path, but they could not remove the calling inside you. And now the same pain that once made you feel powerless is becoming the wisdom that protects your future. This is why karma hit so hard. It was not only about what happened to them, it was about what happened to you after they were gone. You became clearer, you became stronger, you became more honest, you became less willing to betray yourself. They lost access to you. You gained access to yourself. That is the lesson they will remember. They will remember the way you loved them when they were not easy to love. They will remember how often you showed up. They will remember that you gave chances other people would never have given. They will remember your patience after their excuses. They will remember your silence after their disrespect. And one day they may understand that they were standing in front of something genuine while searching for something temporary. But by the time they understand, you may be too far into your healing to return. Not because you want revenge, because your soul finally knows the difference between history and home. Your home is not where you are constantly questioned. Your home is not where you have to earn basic care. Your home is not where your nervous system stays in survival mode. Your home is where your spirit can breathe. You are moving toward that place now. The lesson is ending. The cycle is breaking. The old energy is leaving. The weight you carried is becoming lighter. The people who underestimated you are witnessing the consequences of their choices, while you are learning the consequences of choosing yourself. And choosing yourself will lead you toward people, places, and opportunities that do not require you to disappear. So when you feel tempted to return, remember this message. Remember the nights you cried in silence. Remember the promises that were broken. Remember how often your intuition warned you. Remember how peaceful your life became when you stopped forcing what was not aligned. Do not trade your peace for a familiar pain. Do not trade your future for an old apology. Do not trade your becoming for someone else's temporary comfort. You are too close to the life you prayed for. Keep going. Keep trusting. Keep your heart open, but keep your standards strong. Keep your faith alive, but keep your discernment awake. Keep believing in love, but never again confuse love with suffering. Keep believing in people, but believe their patterns when their words become inconsistent. You are not here to repeat the same lesson forever. You learned it. You survived it. You grew beyond it. And now the next chapter is waiting for the version of you who no longer needs to be convinced that they are chosen. You already know. You know because you are still here. You know because something inside you kept fighting. You know because even after everything, your spirit still reaches for light. Comment Amen if you feel chosen. Type 222 if you are ready for your breakthrough, ready to release the past and ready to receive the peace that has been waiting for you. Chosen one, the people who hurt you may finally be learning their lesson, but your lesson is greater. You learned that your heart deserves protection. You learned that your time matters. You learned that God can use an ending to save you from a future you could not yet see. Nothing about your life has been accidental. Every delay shaped you. Every loss revealed something. Every tear carried a message. Every silent season prepared you for a louder purpose. And soon you will understand why you had to walk alone for a while. You will understand why certain people could not come with you. You will understand why God allowed the truth to hurt before allowing the healing to begin. The story was never about them having the last word. The story was about you finding your voice. The story was never about them winning. The story was about you becoming free. The story was never about revenge. The story was about restoration. Your power is returning. Your peace is returning. Your purpose is returning. And this time, you will not hand them back to anyone who only recognizes your value after losing access to you. Walk forward with faith. Walk forward with patience. Walk forward knowing that what is meant for you will meet you in divine timing. The chapter is closing. The lesson has been learned. And the person you are becoming is the reason they will never be able to treat you the same way again.